All right, everybody, this is a very special episode. I got a good friend here, El Ref, an episode I've been trying to get together for a very long time, and tonight it is finally happening.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Honor is all mine. Thank you for having me. I know, like we spoke before, you have a lot of wrestling history, so I'm very excited to be here with you today, and ready to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. So you were a fan growing up, I presume?
Oh, huge fan, huge fan. Well, we can start from the beginning if you want. I mean,
Sure. Why the hell not?
I know we spoke about good old Jack Bonanno not too long ago, and I'm
Right.
sure we're gonna speak more about him going forward. But because of him is the reason why I became a fan. So let's go back from the beginning. I started watching wrestling. I want to say when I was 4.
Okay.
Um, I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. So as a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling. We lived in my grandmother's house, and my aunt lived with us with her daughters, my cousins. And
Right.
whenever wrestling would come on, they would take it off because it wasn't for the kids. Um, but I remember one time I was running around, being a little menace. Like I said, 5'4", I can't remember. And
Right.
my great grandmother used to live next to us, so my mom was like, "Go play with your great grandmother. Go see what she's doing." Um, my great grandmother was a huge wrestling fan, huge, huge, huge. So I remember coming in and hearing the noise and hearing all the fighting going off, and I see her on her rocking chair, just watching TV, watching her wrestling, and it caught me that moment. Um, I went in as quiet as I could, and I snuck under her rocking chair, and I just cut the whole show. So that was a
Right.
routine for me almost for every weekend. I knew what time it was happening, so I would sneak in. And I would
Right.
say I was sneaking in, but I was a loud kid, so I knew she heard me, but she would just stay quiet because I mean we had a pretty bonding moment. I
Right.
she knew I was there, but she was just happy to have somebody like kind of pass it along to the
To
family.
bond with. Yeah.
Exactly, and then things went from being under the rocking chair to being on her lap and enjoying the show, which is amazing. Something I'll carry with me forever. And one of our guys was like I just mentioned, Jack Bonanno. For
Okay.
those who don't know Jack Bonanno, best to describe him, he's the Dominican Hulk Hogan, pretty much.
Yeah.
Uh, he was our guy. And I know we'll talk more about. I'm sure we're going to NWA and all that good stuff, and we'll talk more about him going forward.
So what year was that about, roughly?
Oof, now we're talking numbers. I want to say probably I started watching it around '89, around there,
Okay.
because I
Okay.
remember my brother being not being 1 yet. My brother was born in '89, so I want to say around '89.
All right. So this was the NWA you're referring to, or their
Well, no, well,
territory down.
this was actually Dominican wrestling.
Okay.
Uh, we didn't have much. I mean, it was pretty much the Dominican wrestling and a few WWF shows back in the day
Right.
that would pop up. Um, Once I got here, I got to learn more of the history of, of course, I got into more of the WWF. I got into
Right.
WCW. I got into ECW, and then I also got to learn the history of more of the NWA because once I got here, it wasn't much going on with the NWA. But I was able,
Right.
I was a big fan of the history, especially since Jack Bonanno was actually an NWA champion. Even if it was for a day, he was still a champion. Which Ric Flair ended up, flying to the Dominican Republic, and he ended up, putting his belt on the line. Lost that belt on the line, and then Jack had to give the belt back up just because he didn't want to defend the belt outside of the country. So a whole bunch of drama. Um,
Right.
Actually, good book I just finished reading. It's called The 10 Pounds of Gold. Recommend it
That's
to
a.
any
Yep. I
any
read that when
NWA
it
fan.
first came out. That's a really great book. It
It's
goes
a
through
real
some
good book.
really great history. Yeah.
Except for the fact that they don't mention my boy Jack. That got me a little off, but it's an amazing book. If you're a fan of the belt
Yeah.
of NWA, I recommend it because it's a really really good book.
It really only goes up to like a certain amount of time, like period. I think in
Yep.
the 90s, it kind of like dies down around like 90, 91.
Yeah,
Whenever
because
WCW separated, it doesn't really cover like when the NWA kind of withdrew from WCW at the time. So,
exactly, yeah. And I know they have another book that also came with that, which I want to read. It's more like when that split happened, and it focused more on that WCW championship, that big old gold
right.
belt,
10 pounds. Or the big gold belt, right?
the
Yeah.
big gold belt. Yep.
Who are your favorites outside of Jack growing up?
Growing up, well, my top five. I always tell people, let me know your Survivor Series top five.
Oh, okay.
Uh, so my number five, I'm gonna go from bottom to first. So for
Sure.
number five is gonna be Roddy Piper. Huge fan
Of
of him.
course.
I got a cool story about him once we're done with this, but I got Roddy, I got Macho Man Randy Savage, I got The Rock, I got Ric Flair, and I got Razor Ramon, the bad guy.
Scott Hall.
The bad guy.
I did meet him one time at the Milford Rec. Back then, they used to have like autograph signings every day. He was really cool. It was like probably within like a couple months. It was like him, he was there, and Kurt Hennig was there as well. Kurt was a complete jerk, but Scott Hall was cool as hell. Like he was so relaxed. So
I got to meet him a couple times, which is great. And you know, one of the times he was like, he asked me because he remembers. So he's like, so what do you do for a living? You know, I'm like, oh, you know, I do this, but I'm also in the business. He's like, oh, you wrestle? I'm like, nah, I don't wrestle. He's like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a referee. He's like, you're a referee? He's like, what the hell are you doing refereeing for? I'm like,
I was going to ask you about that. You're somewhat taller than your typical referees. How did you get into refereeing as opposed to actually being a wrestler?
Well, I got some health issues, which, you know, denies me from being in the ring as much as I want to be in the ring and work out and all that good stuff. And, you know, it all started, you know, myself and Bill, Ref Bill. We were helping PAPW, you know, with one of their shows they were doing. And, you know, I started school and I was like, I wanted to be involved. You know, I first wanted to get into management. And then I spoke to Roma and, you know, Bill was already getting involved. So me and Bill actually started reffing together. We started everything together. And I asked Roma, you know, I got an idea, you know, I want to be involved. You know, is there any way, you know, I can manage somebody or something like that? He's like, I need refs. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like 6'3", 200. And he's like, you want it or not? I'm like, yeah, I want it. Let's do it.
That's cool. That was only, how many years ago now? You've only been in the business, 3-4 years?
Close to 4.
Okay.
Running into like 3.5-ish around there, but close to 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Would have been some moments would have been some amazing moments so far.
And well, I have
as
to bring
far as
Paul
being in, of course.
You know, we had a show in Mohegan Sun.
Right.
It was the second one that we had, and I got to referee Roma and Striker.
Yep.
Amazing match.
Striker.
You know?
Okay.
Exactly, Matt Striker. Yeah, amazing match. You know, 2 different eras of wrestling, but you know, combining together, and it's crazy. You know, these are guys that I saw on TV as a kid. You know, I'm now on the ring. Right. You know, calling their match. You know, Paul, thank you for the match, like always. And then I walked out, and then I see Striker coming towards me, and I'm like, oh boy, I guess I did something wrong. And then he comes over, shakes my hand, and bows, and he tells me, it takes a great referee to make a good match into a great match. And he thanked me. I was like, wow, that was huge. That was very huge. Another one that I can remember, I was still green. It was we had Deonna Purrazzo in one of our events, current The Impact women's champion. And you know, this was way before she got into WWE, but you can tell that there was something there. I was still green myself, you know, so I was, you know, screwing up here and there a little bit. But it was one of the best matches I've called so far, you know, and it was an amazing match. She's very technical, you know, everything she's getting right now, she deserves, because she's an amazing wrestler.
She's been killing it in Impact lately. I think that Impact is a completely underrated group at this present time.
Very underrated. Very underrated.
They've got, I think there was just years of too much damage through the Russo years and the Dixie Carter years that
exactly.
a lot of people aren't turning their eyes on them, but they have an amazing roster and they're putting on some of the best action now.
Yeah, I think if people give it a chance, like you say, they're gonna be amazed, because, you know, I was one of those people that was, you know, it's just not for me. And then I started watching again, and I was like, wow, this is, you know, they got some serious stuff going on.
There was a couple years I didn't watch it because of the they did that whole 10-10-10 build up, and then when it finally got there, like October 10th, 2010,
there
was supposed to be this big surprise, and then once it just turned out to be Bischoff and Hogan ranting in an hour for 45 minutes, I shut it off. Didn't turn it on again until 2018. So
I remember
and then I just so happened to go to Bound for Glory that year, and I was just like blown away at the amount of it was a great show.
Especially, you know, awesome. for what it was, they're doing great. So like I said, I recommend it. Anybody wants to go see, you know, they have great product right there. A lot of great product out there right now.
Yeah. So how'd you you basically told how you hooked up with Roma in Paradise Alley. Have you worked outside of Paradise Alley at all?
I've done a few shows. couple of indie companies, but usually, PAPW is my home.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get a gig when you're bigger than the wrestler sometimes, which I caught a little bit of heat in our last show that we just had because I was just
Right.
messing around with the boys and everybody was going through the middle rope and I was like, I'm gonna go through the top
Stepping
rope,
over.
around, and I went over.
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah, I laughed. Yeah, it was
So
funny.
yeah, I actually got a little bit of heat after that. It's like, what are you doing? You're a ref. Why are you going over the rope? You're the only one doing that right now. I'm like, just having a little bit of fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was your first show back. I mean,
Yeah.
in 6 months, and I gotta tell you, it was a lot of fun because
It was
6 months without no professional wrestling, like live action in the area, and then you guys finally do 3 shows in one day. I was at all of
it
them,
was
and it was so. Go ahead.
it was inside and I mean insane. Like I
Yeah,
was saying, and it's crazy because we weren't expecting a lot of people.
yeah,
And we still we still doing with this pandemic, but all 3 shows were sold out, which were amazing. It was
yeah.
insane. I didn't believe I mean, even though we had the restrictions, but every ticket was sold out, and we just, we were blessed, to have people back, put on a show and put on some smiles and some faces. Like you said, it's been 6 months, and people,
Yeah.
they want to feel normal again.
That's one thing. I've been working from home. It's just insane. It's like it gets repetitive and boring. I'm not going up and getting out of the house as much. And to actually go to a live event was
Yep.
it was exciting. It was something to look forward to.
Yep, exactly. It was.
So,
It was much needed.
one of the things about that show, those 3 shows, was there was a lot of people that had never appeared there as well, and that was kind of exciting to see some
Yes.
fresh faces, and and then the amount of regular talent was spread out amongst the 3 shows too to give us some variety, which was a lot of fun as well.
And it's pretty cool. Some of the storylines also were combined with other shows as well. So
Right.
something happened in the first show where you have to stay in the third show and see what happened. So
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting. It was real good.
Right. So, let me see. Were you involved in any, like, maybe doing a little research? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misunderstood.
Sure.
Were you involved in the music industry prior?
I was a little bit. I
Tell
did a
me a
little
little
bit.
bit more about this because I'm interested in hearing this.
It was how long ago was this? It was a while, a couple years
Yeah.
back, a while back. But no, I got to the music business, just messing around. Just because I always like to entertain. Ever since being a kid.
Yeah.
As a kid, I would dress up in my uncle's clothes. And when there was a large group amount of people in my house, I would put like his old jerseys and whatnot, and
Right.
come out, entertain everybody in the room. But yeah, got to the music business, more like of a urban Latin kind of thing,
Right.
and started doing it for fun. People were liking it, even though I didn't think I was good at all, to tell the truth. But people enjoyed it, and then it got a little serious. I ended up doing, I was doing tours, I was doing shows.
Oh, wow.
I ended up going to the Latin billboards in Miami, which was an amazing time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, did some stuff overseas. Did a couple shows, on a boat, which is pretty awesome. Jericho wasn't the first one to do it. I did it before he did, so lead champion. But it was amazing. It was a wonderful time. Something that I already closed that chapter and moving on. What's next?
What made you decide to get out of that and get into wrestling overall?
Like I said, I always been a fan.
Yep.
Of all 3: baseball, wrestling, and music.
Right.
I feel like I hit my peak in music.
Okay.
I did what I had to do. I enjoyed what I was doing. I didn't see any more growth of it, so I kind of stopped right there. And as soon as I was finishing with music, wrestling kind of fell on my lap, and I just ran with it. And just here we are now, and I'm really excited for my decision as well.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. When did you come here to Connecticut, or when did you leave the Dominican Republic and then come to the area?
It was, well, I had been here 2 other times. I came here in '92 for vacation, summer of '92, and then I came in summer of '94 for vacation again. And then we kind of decided, to make that move the same year. So I came on vacation with my father, and not realizing that my father, he already had plans here to stay, and I was sent back home by myself. And he stayed over here because he already had plans, and he wanted to be here first. and kind of get
Yep.
the whole, get situated,
Yeah.
making sure he had a roof. He had, or so, once we came that same year, actually December 25th, 94. So, it was a
Oh,
pretty
okay.
Christmas present, I would say.
Oh, that was
Uh,
nice.
but
Yeah.
once we got here, he was already situated. He had everything under control. We just came in, started school, and funny thing about that time, when we came, the previous times I had come to the country, it was always summer. This is the first winter I had seen.
Right.
Did not know about snow, and it was
It was
actually snowing
shocking.
that day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it was the plane with the stairs, so you have to come out to the ramp and down, and and like kind of like the floor, and then you
Yep.
walk towards the. And as soon as we came down, and I saw all this stuff coming down, I was like, "Holy crap! The world's ending. What's this stuff falling off the sky?"
Were you shocked at it
I was very shocked. I mean,
the
what was coming
temperature?
from the temperature, what was coming from the sky.
Right.
And then we ended up moving to Massachusetts
Oh,
first. And then it's crazy because that weekend, it was like one of the biggest snowstorms I seen. And I remember we had to go outside and they wrapped me up with everything they could find. And we went outside and I had snow up to my knees at that point. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like, I could be over in some palm trees and instead, I'm here fighting with some ice.
I remember that winter actually. Now that you're saying this, the winter in '94, I had worked my first job. I was 16 at the time. I just remember the entire there was like this insane snowstorm. I just got stuck. I couldn't leave my house for days. So because it was
it,
that
it,
bad.
it was bananas. Like, and then for me,
Yeah.
being your first winter, I was just like devastated.
Yeah.
But it was, it's an amazing experience.
So in '94, you said?
Yes, sir.
That's '94. What did you discover professional wrestling wise when you came here?
I think it was right away.
Yep.
There were two things that we'll watch because we had just local cable. I would
Hmm.
watch. It would be wrestling, um, and then it would be Married with Children. So
It's a classic.
it helped me learn English. So I think Al Bundy for all his for all his teachings, as you say.
Right. That's awesome. That's hilarious. But I still watch that show all the time. Like it's on cable, like at late at night.
It doesn't get old, so it's like
No, it doesn't. And some of
it's
the
one of my
jokes,
favorites.
it's amazing that the jokes that are on TV at that time,
Yeah.
you can't get away with in current
Oh no.
society. And it's
Oh,
kind
no.
of a shame in a way, but it's everything was just so inappropriate back then. A lot of the jokes.
I feel like we've gotten a little bit too soft. Imagine a eight,
Yeah.
9-year-old kid, getting some advice from Al Bundy.
I mean, I've said this before, and it's not like this country was kind of pussified a little bit in the last like 10 or so years, and it's just I hate to I don't want to put it like in a nasty kind of way, but it's like it's pretty sad from growing up from one era and discovering what's going on now.
Yeah, and I feel like it made us, it made us stronger, because it was,
Yeah,
things we went through, and we're just, like we just shake it off and and
yeah,
keep it moving. Yeah,
absolutely. It affects, and I don't think people realize it affects everything, like
yeah.
all that stuff from television to sports. I mean, people can't even say whatever the heck they want on television at all.
Well, you saw the situation we had with PAPW recently, um,
Yes, yeah,
which we I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to talk about it, but I'm sure fans out there know what happened, and
yeah. I mean, it's been all over the internet and
yeah,
stuff like that, and I was
we
just like, I was kind of appalled in a way. Like I
yep,
was like, I'm at every single show, and there's never anything inappropriate. And I bring my 4-year-old, or now he's 5. Like I bring my little
exactly, yeah,
kids all the time. And if I ever thought anything was inappropriate, he would not come back with me. And
exactly.
and I was very big on trying to get out there and help and support and stuff like that because you guys have been good to me and my kids every time I show up at one of your shows. So, and it was just ridiculous.
And we appreciate that, and everybody else
Yeah,
that chipped in. I mean, as soon as I heard the allegations, I knew they were gonna stick, because
yeah,
we have people like backing us up, and that
yeah,
petition went out and it just blew off, and within days, that petition was just, like I said,
it,
took over. We won the
yeah,
case, and we're here. We're still running strong. So I just want to, like I said, I want to thank you and everybody
yeah,
else out there, who may play a big role in this, and really do appreciate it.
yeah. Thank you. I mean, and I'm looking forward to more. seen you guys, because I had heard about it probably the day before. Somebody had said something before the show. I guess you guys got served.
Yep.
Somebody had said something about the show's being canceled. I was like, I know nothing about this. I was like, so I shot out a couple messages. Everybody's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I showed up.
So only a few of us knew what was going on. So actually, they did want to cancel the show the day off. We found out actually the night prior, and we were just, we didn't want to say anything because Mario's amazing. Mario has, he has a background as a lawyer, which he is a lawyer. I can't remember how many years he's been doing it for, but he jumped in and he fought for us like nobody has fought for us. And it's been just insanely great. Lucky to have him on our team, and and he took charge, and here we are.
Right. He's a good guy, and he's been involved in the business a long time. So
very long time. People don't give him his dues, but people that get to know him and know him very well, I started training with him actually before I started training with Roma. I owe a lot to Mancini, and if you ever want to hear some great wrestling stories, go talk to Mario, because he's faced the best of them.
He shares a lot on his podcast. He shares a bunch of them, and I want to try to get him on here and talk to him about some of his stories, because I've heard a lot of really good stories, but he's a really cool dude. He's trained amazing. With some legend. He's worked with everybody, literally. So
he was the Undertaker's first match. To tell the truth, first one-on-one. From Macho Man to Bondi, he just stories there for. I could sit there for hours and just listen to him. To tell the truth.
I know. Who do you enjoy working with the most outside at Paradise Alley?
Oh boy.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I know there's so many people you work with there.
It's okay. Marcel Williams, he's one of the.
That guy's great. Yeah.
He's one of the smoothest guys in the ring. So much knowledge that he has. But he's great to work with. He makes things very easy. House of Pain, HOP, one of the best tag teams I know right now.
Right.
They're the double champions right now, and again, same thing. They make things super smooth for you. Couldn't go wrong. Richard Holiday, he's over in MLW right now.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of great stuff over there.
Yeah, he's actually, the first match I ref was his match.
Okay. Wow.
And, I like I said, the guy, he knows his stuff. He makes all these guys right now. I mentioned they make things smooth. Robbie the Giant and Bullet Joe are my little pals. I'm not sure if you ever got to see any of the matches that when they come over, or midget wrestling, but usually when they come over, you haven't seen those yet.
I don't recall the last. Well, you know what? I think I saw it on one of the videos on YouTube recently, on one of the best ofs that was uploaded.
Probably Collusion, right? Maybe when they were doing a tag team. I think it was Collusion, if I'm not mistaken. But
I think so. I know there's a midget match. Were you working the midget match?
I work all their matches.
Yeah.
So we that's actually one of my favorite matches to work.
Yep.
Usually the first two times we had them over, they were just one-on-ones, and it's been these guys are underrated because you come in or you're expecting a midget match, things to be funny, but these guys work their butts off. They're amazing,
it's
not
like a traditional comedy spot. Basically,
they move, and it's kind of cool because I'm so involved as a referee with everything that's going on. Yeah. It's amazing. I remember their first match I did. I had 3 matches that night. They were my second match, and then I had the main event. After their match, I couldn't do the main event because I blew out my knee. Because that's how much they had me running around and jumping around and doing things alongside them. That I was done for the night, and that's more power to them, because they work their butts off, and they do amazing work. So I'm hoping that we can get them soon, because I love their work. The fans love their work, and I want them to keep spreading that out there.
So you blew out your knee. You said that was like your injury that you had, that you were out for a little while, right?
No.
That was a work, or no?
No. This was.
I thought you were.
It wasn't. I didn't blow up, but I pulled something.
Got you.
Just because I was doing so much with them.
Got you.
but it wasn't work. It was all legit. You know, they will tire you out.
All right, that's cool. So, Paradise Alley return in October. You looking forward to that?
10-10, yes, sir. We actually got the Hall of Fame as well coming up.
That's on the 4th. Is that the 4th? Is that what they announced? I remember they announced a date. Maybe I get the date.
It's on 10-10, August 10th.
Okay. Oh, it's
not August. What am I?
October 10th.
October 10th.
August. That's actually the day before my birthday, so I'm making it a point to attend the shows for my birthday. So,
there you go.
So
there you go. And like I mentioned, we got that Hall of Fame that day as well.
Yep.
The PAPW Hall of Fame, which is gonna be the first year. Then we got a couple guys going in, so I recommend coming in. It's gonna be a great show. We got some great guys coming along, and who knows, maybe we can get in touch with the little guys to come out and maybe put on a show for your birthday.
I'm looking forward to that, man. Like really looking forward to that. That annex now it's going outside, but that's a great building to run wrestling in now.
Yes, it is.
You know, I've been to all the shows there. It's a really cool building. I like it a lot.
We made great connections with the people there. And like it's gonna be outside shows are usually pretty cool. I love doing outside shows, even though it gets pretty hot out there. But I think next month it won't be that crazy. It'll be
it won't be that bad. I mean, not like the shows like you guys did in North Haven last year, and it was pretty hot out during after a while, and it was killer. The Taco Fest.
Yeah, or even the previous Taco Fest that we did. I forget what that was, but it was the first one with it. It wasn't in North Haven. It was before. North Haven was the second one. And I remember
somewhere far away. Yeah,
and I remember I had to wrestle. We had two luchadors wrestling. And I had to ref with the luchadors best that day as well. and it's the first time I ever do it, and I don't know how these guys do it because I couldn't. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty crazy. I put on I own like several masks. I put them on and I can't see out of the shit. Like they just don't. I got to play with them in order to see.
Imagine running around and sliding.
I can only
I
can only imagine. So you're a huge baseball fan as well, like you said. Outside, Kansas City's your team?
Yes, sir. So I'm rocking this right now because, as you know, I just got back from Cooperstown. Right. Like we were talking, for a baseball fan, it's Disney World.
Absolutely.
First time I was there, amazing. I got to visit all the museums I wanted to visit. I got to visit the Hall of Fame. Doubleday Park, can't go wrong.
Yeah. Tell me anything particular you really liked about going up there outside of that stuff.
Over there, I gotta say, being with my family, most of all, my parents came with me. I got into baseball because of my dad. My dad's a huge baseball fan, so it's funny. My family, you're either really, really good at baseball or you're really, really bad. Me and my dad got the really, really bad. Unfortunately, the reason I'm a Royals fan is because my uncle actually played for the Royals back in the day.
Oh wow!
So he was with them, awesome. and then he got to run the farm in the Dominican Republic, and then he was 03, 04 until I want to say 09 around there. He came up and he was the first and third base coach for the team, alongside with when Tony Pena was the manager for the team. So so it was I was born blue blooded, I could say.
I was going to ask you why, of all teams, you like Kansas City. Living in the Northeast, it's kind of an oddball team to like. Especially in this area, it's either New York or Boston. But
exactly,
you answered it. I grew up a Boston fan. Not my entire family, but my father's side was all New Englanders. Like they liked all the Boston teams, and my mom's side was all Italian Americans, so like the Yankees and all that.
That must have been fun.
It made for interesting conversation during baseball season. So
I mean my second team it is the Red Sox. So Big Papi.
He's like one of my favorites. Yeah.
Pedro Martinez is one of my top 3 pitchers.
Yep.
You got Manny. These guys were crucial. All 4. They were key. So in Yankees, if you're a Boston fan, you're not gonna have love for the Yankees. Even though I'm a big fan of the Yankee history of the old Yankees,
Yeah, this is like a tradition there. That's and similar to wrestling,
Yep, exactly.
Traditionalist when it comes to wrestling, but when it comes to like Yankees versus Red Sox, especially earlier 2000s Red Sox, some of my favorite players, when they decided to leave and take that big Yankee money, they failed miserably. Like, like Kevin Youkilis just kind of failed miserably. And
Mr. Damon.
yeah, Johnny. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
who I loved when he was playing for the Sox, and then he just
Yes.
like, oh God, now you suck. You shave. I think it's because they made him shave their beards, and that was the good luck, right
That's
there.
where he had his powers. That was his home
That's
run power.
that's the
That's it.
superpowers. Yeah.
It was gone. So since we're talking about baseball, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna answer one of my own too. If you
Sure.
could have any wrestler play for your team, who would that be?
Jesus, that's a tough one. Alive or dead, or it doesn't matter.
Whatever you want.
I think Piper'd be kind of a badass.
On the field?
Yeah. Oh, I think
I
he'd be fucking crazy.
I can see that happening. I can see.
Yeah.
I will pick.
He looks like he could be a ball player, though.
Yeah. He got that. I can see him like, I don't know, maybe like second base or something.
Yeah.
I can see him playing that. I'm gonna have to go with Randy Poffo.
Oh, Cincinnati Reds. He played for the Reds. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Macho Man. People don't know that he played for the Reds. He played for St. Louis as well.
Oh, so, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. He played outfield. So I would go Macho. Macho has the experience.
So I wonder, like, did he ever actually make it to TV playing ball, or was it?
I don't know, but I know he has a couple baseball cards out there, which I'm trying to get my hands on one at least.
I saw the Reds one, but they never pop up. I think Lanny Poffo probably owns them, or maybe he has scans of them or something, because I know he posted one the other day actually. So
yeah, I think I got a buddy of mine working on that. Yeah, I think I might luck out one of these days. So I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed.
I hope so.
If I do, I'll post that up. And
you got to show me if you get that, because that's probably a holy grail, like to own one of those cards. Yeah,
it really is. It really is. Honestly, even if I get like one, even like a bootleg one, I wouldn't even care. Just to have like something like that to put on the wall, whatever. It'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
What about? But let's do the opposite. What about? Which baseball player would you have convert into wrestling?
Shit. Damn, that's even Pedro Martinez. He likes to knock out people, doesn't he? so I think he'd be a wild man on the field.
Is there a age limit for that or no?
No.
Where he's wrestling? No, just whatever.
No. Yeah,
free for all.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's got to go after the old guys, I guess. Yeah, I guess you're right. He's got to go after, Flair or Vince. Those are the oldest two guys in the business these days.
You know who I think would do good? I got two names for actually. P. Rose will be one of them. I think. He already. On his prime though. On his prime.
Right.
Even now, he can still take a pretty good choke slam.
And,
And I think
I miss that guy though. Growing up, I watched him a lot. Like growing up watching him play ball, and it's just it's a shame what happened to him over the years.
Yeah,
getting blackballed by business and stuff.
But it was kind of like a shame, going to the Hall. They do got his stuff there. They got like jerseys and stuff like that. But it's kind of sad not to see him in there, which I think is BS. I think he should be in there.
I think it'll change over the years. It'll be boiled over. It's just
and on top of that, he was betting on his team to win, so it's like made him play it extra hard.
Yeah, right. Like he wasn't making enough money as it is, though. That's the other thing.
I think it was just for the fun of the game. Just. And my my first pick would have been. What do you think about Nolan Ryan?
That's so funny because I just saw him on TV the other day. They were talking about. It was an old advertisement actually for collector stamps that came out in 1991, and he was featured in the commercial, which I just thought was so strange. I love that guy back in the day. Like he was the shit. Yeah,
I can see him in the ring.
Yeah,
he's
one total picture. Badass.
Yeah, like as a kid, like I always picture myself, like we all do, playing the big leagues and then picturing And it's funny because I would think of pictures and I would be like, yeah, I'll stand in the mound even if he strikes me out. I wouldn't be afraid. But Nolan is one of the guys that I would think I would be afraid. I was like seeing that guy stand there, and just coming at you, and even if you want to start a fight, he'll throw down. He'll throw down.
Yeah, he did have an incident, right? I believe he did.
He had a lot
A
of them.
few, yeah, that's right. Now it's all coming back, and it's so long ago. It's like 30 years ago. But I remember as a kid trying to hunt down one of his baseball cards because it was like an error
Yep.
on the cards. And if you remember correctly, it had the wrong back to the card. They
Yes.
switched. There was two different cards in the Donruss set,
Yes.
and they switched the backs by accident. I remember going to baseball card conventions and just
That's
my haggler uncle was trying to haggle prices for this guy because they were trying to overcharge all this stuff. And he's like, oh, but my nephew wants it. He's so, he's a kid. Come on.
and that's one of the cards. Even though the cards they've lost their value, that's one of the cards that
Mhm.
actually cost money right now. So
I know it's
to
like
have that.
I was wondering, like, people really don't care anymore about baseball cards. Like, they still produce them, but they're not.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. They're not. There's no value to them
No.
anymore. I think when it comes to collectibles and stuff like that, it's like a lot of pop culture stuff that's actually worth
Yeah.
the
Which
big
is
bucks.
funny because I'm still a fan. I actually was it a couple of days ago? I bought a frame for baseball cards, and I took all my favorite ones and I have them in that frame, and I'm trying to find a place to put them up. But I'm still a big fan of the cards. It's still, I don't care if it has value or not. It's just
Yeah,
if
obviously.
I think
That's what
if
I
you
do with wrestling stuff. I just have so much of it. It doesn't matter if it's worth much to me. It's just
Exactly.
it's worth stuff to me. And
exactly
people, especially I collect autographs. It's like, but you're not going to be able to resell it if you get it
You know,
personalized. I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's signed to me. When I die, it'll go to my kids.
when I met Piper, it's funny because Piper put my name on it. I asked him, I was like, yeah, just put my name on it. He's like, you wouldn't? I'm like, nah, this is going to my house.
Yeah.
Which was amazing, fun story about Piper. It's funny how everything goes in circle, I spoke to actually I can go from the beginning. So back to my great grandmother, as I was a kid, she used to tell me stories, about Jack Bonanno going against this blonde beautiful man from the States. And this is me, being 4 or 5 years old, and I'm here,
Right.
and she's telling me all these great stories. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. We forward back, fast forward to now, and I realized that she was talking about Ric Flair, and it's kind of cool, that she was talking about her guy going against my guy since way back.
Right.
She was there for that. She got to live that, and it's kind of amazing. That's what she was talking about. And when I got to meet Piper, um, bless his soul, I got to meet him actually a few months before he passed away, and one of the nicest guys you can meet. To tell the truth, I was.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you.
I met him once in 1995. I think in 95, WrestleMania 11. They had a fan festival in Hartford, and I went to that. And in the room, like, he was walking out, I was walking in, and I stopped and shook his hand. He was one of the nicest dudes. Like, even though he was in a rush and surrounded by people trying to get him somewhere, still stopped, said hello, and all that stuff. He was real cool.
So it was, I was marking out when I met him. I was nervous. I was nervous. I didn't know what to say. It was one of my favorites. And he brings me over before his son's over. And we had a regular conversation. He was asking me about my family and amazing. Taking his time with everybody. And he asked me where I was from, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm from the Dominican Republic. And he started laughing. I'm like, you're right. He's like, I went out there with Flair for that trip we had. And then he just started telling me stories. It was amazing. He's like, you guys don't play around. He's like, I was scared out there, because we go out there, your security guards are, they got shotguns. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like back home. And and it's funny. I opened up and he was amazing. He gone too soon. Like you said, great guy. He felt everybody he let everybody feel comfortable. So amazing guy.
I heard that on the radio the day he died. I was driving. I remember I was on Route 15, right by exit 59, when it came on the radio, and I was like, "Oh hell!" Like, a childhood hero. He's probably, if I remember correctly, the first wrestler I ever saw on TV. In 1984, he was in WWF TV. I remember, and it was just like, I got really into wrestling, but I didn't get into wrestling. I mean, I was into wrestling, but I didn't go to my first live show until 4 years later, which made me become obsessed after the first live show. I watch it regularly, but then it was the first live show that really hooked me in 4 years later. So, and then I just became obsessed with, like, the NWA in, like, 1988, 89 as well.
Yes.
What's your favorite Piper moment?
I hate to sound cliche, but I have to go with the coconut. That's
No? Oh, it's a legendary moment. I mean, it really
It
is.
is. I mean, it stayed. You know, the first time I saw it, it just stayed in me.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing moment. But
I have to go with the dog collar match of Greg Valentine from Starcade.
mm,
Uh, I just think it's hilarious. It's amazing. It's bloody. It's gritty. You know, it's fun.
yeah,
It's fun.
it's funny because he was very, very PG in WWF, but you know, before that, he was.
Compared to, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think that was the difference. Excuse me. I think that was the difference between WWF and the NWA. It's like the NWA, they still had darkened arenas and it was more presented like it was a
yep,
sport as
yep,
opposed to entertainment, like or like a kids show. Not to insult WWF, but
yeah.
you know,
And the way they, I mean, WWF does travel. Don't get me wrong, but these
yeah,
guys were actually worldwide. You know, they were going everywhere. They were
yeah,
going to Japan,
yep,
Australia, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, all over the world, and you know, it was amazing to have that. You know,
right. Who else? Your favorite Flair moment?
Flair moment.
Yeah,
Oof, oof,
I mean,
so
there's
many.
so many. There's so many. Yeah,
Yeah, you can't even. I mean, the other day I was watching his final match. One of my top 5 favorite matches.
the one with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, his real. I know he continued wrestling after that.
No, yeah, well,
Uh,
in TNA, I got an opinion on that match, but go ahead. I'll get that after yours.
no problem, but yeah, it was like you say. You mentioned TNA, which you know
Yeah,
I kind of try to erase that from my memory, but it was just
yeah,
um it was very emotional. You know, a very emotional match
yeah,
from both parties. And I think that's one of the things that really got me. That got me really invested.
yeah,
And the storyline leading to it, you know, even the night afterwards, it was another emotional night. You know, having so
right.
many people come out, you know, just to show their respect. But um, that's got to be up there. Even though I mean, there's many more. You know, I mean, even the one with Jack Veneno. You know,
Right.
just
Is
going back home.
is
It's
there
just
video footage of that in existence that you're aware of?
uh, no, but you know what's funny? I don't know if there is. I've been searching,
Yeah,
but I have a picture in my head because my great grandmother used to tell me that story so much, and kind
yeah.
of like she went like play by play. She could have been a commentator to tell the truth, but it kind of like I drew a picture in my head of like how the match went, even though it's might be a little fussy now because it's been a
Yeah,
while, but
yeah.
it's just I feel like I was the way she used to tell me the story. I feel like I was there to tell the truth.
So when you used to watch professional wrestling with your grandmother, did she take it extremely serious and yell at the television like you said? I
Like
could
every
picture. I'm trying to remember a couple times my grandmother did the same thing, like yelling at the heels and wondering why the ref wasn't doing anything about it. You know,
it's funny because people these days don't know that back in the day, old ladies were a huge wrestling fan.
there were absolutely.
Anywhere, especially down
Yeah,
south, a huge wrestling fan.
I was. That's funny that you said that, especially down south. I was watching Continental Championship Wrestling, like in older
Yep,
episodes in the '80s, and the whole front row was all old ladies, like sitting in
yep,
the front row. I'm like, those are the ones that used to scream at everybody.
yep, yep. Getting heat.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a different time period. Speaking of the Flair Shawn Michaels match,
Yep,
I did I remember, you know, even before the network was a thing, I used to still purchase every WrestleMania at least, not
yep,
pay-per-views, but that was the only one I would purchase every year. And I remember being excited for that match and sort of let down when it actually happened.
yeah,
However, it wasn't until this year when they started replaying shows on Fox, doing that best of series, that they ended up showing that match again. And now, however many years later, I really learned to appreciate that match and looked at it completely different.
yep,
It's a lot better than I remember it being. And I think it's definitely up there as such a great moment in Flair's career. Great to maybe it's because I'm not a huge Shawn Michaels fan. That's why I wasn't.
yeah,
I didn't click to it. It was always his attitude, but
yeah.
and the one or two times I met him in the past, you know, that
Yes,
usually does stuff to you.
especially back in the day, you know, when
I think
he
the
was a
first time I met him was WrestleMania 11. I met him around that time period
oh
too,
yeah.
and he was not a very friendly person. So
You met cocky Sean.
yeah, yeah. That was an amazing show because I remember meeting like Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler there, and both dudes were like cool as hell. And Chris Candido was just coming in. He was walking around the fan festival. This is before he became Skip.
Yep.
And he was just him and Tammy were walking around just as normal people because they had just got hired. And I remember I was wearing a Sabu shirt, and he was like, did that thing just like, and it started, I talked to him for a couple minutes, and then that was it. I got him to sign my thing. But yeah, there was a lot of fun.
No,
Professional
Brett.
wrestling history. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard. I haven't met Brett yet, but I heard Brett. He's a gentleman. When it comes down to that.
Yeah.
Which what one of the reasons why we know him and Sean never clicked back in the day. I mean,
two different people.
It wasn't just a screw job. It was way before that. There was always hatred before that, and it's funny because people thought it was a show that they were promoting, but it was all real to them. They were letting things out.
But there were they in the ring they could work together. Like they were they would put that stuff aside for the half hour, 60 minutes.
5-star match.
Maybe they just or maybe they just use that energy in the ring.
Yeah.
That hatred, but from the time that there was a Hart Foundation and Rockers, they were putting on great matches to even later on, when both of them were having singles careers, they were putting on great matches.
They never, not including the Montreal Screwjob, but they never did anything in the ring to harm each other or to ruin the match or whatever. They were always once that bell rung, they were professionals until like I said, that last moment at the Screwjob when
Right.
All
There's a lot of conspiracies surrounding that. I don't know what to believe now that there's all these documentaries that came out. So I'm just like, I just take it for what it is. I'm just
and keep it going.
Yeah, people say Brett was in on it too, just to make it look like a story. But I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. It's not. It's kind of interesting and funny take. But
to think other scenarios for men and go from there.
Yeah. So who else was your favorites growing up? You said I can't. Outside of the ones that you mentioned, I'm trying to remember. Sorry.
I had Piper. I had Macho Man. The Rock. Rocky Maivia. Ric Flair, and it's funny. We'll go back to that. Ric Flair and Scott Hall's been my guy, but with The Rock, it's funny because The Rock, I've been a fan of Rock since they came out. Since he came out with the curls and
even like Rocky Maivia.
I was a fan.
Really?
I was a fan, and I used to sit there and I'm like, why are people booing this guy? Look at this guy. I mean, I was a kid.
It was that smile. It was that smile. And you wanted to just punch him in the face.
And all the colors and all that. It's funny because he I was a big fan of Rocky Maivia, but once he joined the Nation and became heel, I became even a bigger fan.
It's when you knew there was something there. Just as soon as he turned heel, it's like you're better as a heel, and he took that heel persona, and when he turned babyface again, it's pretty much the same, and you just made it work better. Yeah,
I think one of my favorite promos from when he was in the Nation, when Farouk was still the leader, is that when there was already heat between both of them, that he wanted to show loyalty to the guys, and he got all the guys Rolexes like watches. And then Farouk, he was like, I got you something even better. It was a portrait of himself with the IC title. And it was like, wait a minute, you got these guys Rolex watches and you got me a picture of yourself. Like, how can you be? And it was some great stuff, man.
So that was probably what, 99, 98, 99, something like that? Around
there, yep. Yeah, like 90,
It melts together sometimes, like that period.
It does. That era.
Let me ask you. Now, this is kind of a popular topic that comes up here. What do you think of the Attitude Era 20-some-odd years later? Do you think it still holds up? And do you think that a lot of it is just garbage that, for some reason...
I think a lot of it still holds up. It was...
Really?
Yeah. It's... I was... As a kid, I was a big fan of the 80s, early 90s. Of course, you're still young. Attitude Era started coming in when I was like in middle school, when I was hitting puberty. So it's kind of like, I want to say we hit puberty together.
Right. So
those
all those jokes, all these inappropriate jokes kind of match.
Exactly, and they're doing it. I know a lot of people complain about the Attitude Era. I don't, man. It made us who we are right now in a way. Are there things that that should have been there? Yeah, absolutely. Especially when it comes to women, I think women during that era, there was a lot of stuff going on, that I don't understand, a lot of bikini stuff and whatnot.
Like we said earlier, stuff you can't get away with today, like on
Exactly.
television. Yeah.
Exactly, but they also had a lot of a lot of great stuff. A lot of great storylines, a lot of great wrestlers that
Right.
came from that era. Um, right now compared to then, you you could have had you had like 10 guys that were main event stars. I
Hmm.
don't think you can say the same thing right now. To tell the truth,
Today,
um,
it's different because it doesn't seem like WWE tries to make a star that's gonna
yeah,
move on from the business there or to carry the company. I mean, they push guys like Seth Rollins down your throat. And I just don't. I always appreciate his work, and I
yep,
believe that he does work hard, but I'm just not convinced enough that
and
he could
and,
be a top guy.
and the same thing with Roman. I think Roman's a
Yeah,
great worker. But the way I mean, what they're doing right now, I like what they're doing right now. I hope they don't ruin it.
right.
Um, but the way he was shoved down our throats, like you say, there's no story
As a
behind it,
baby
nothing like
face,
that.
yeah. My opinion was that he's being shoved down your throat. And he's just not a baby face, and the
Yeah,
fact that they finally just turned him heel, I was like, it's about time. You know what I mean? That's
exactly.
because this is how he's going to define his career. This is how he's going to be. You know, this is what he should be, basically.
And I always said, I always used the Rock scenario. You can see that they're already tired of what's going on. It
Right.
was the same thing when the Rock was rocking my Via. You know what? Give him a mic. Let him speak for himself.
Right.
Um, CM Punk, pipe bomb.
Yeah.
You know what? You got some stress. Here's the mic. Do what you got to do.
It was one of
And
the most influential promos in modern wrestling history.
and I stopped watching WWE around that time. And when I saw the CM Punk drop that promo, I went back. I got hooked.
Yeah.
And that whole, I'm not a big Cena fan because of the same
Right.
reasons, kind of being pushed down our throats.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, great guy. Does he does a lot of great things as well.
That's what I always said, that he was. Sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah, no problem.
I always thought that he was maybe not necessarily a great wrestler, and he was a shove down your throats. But it's his work outside of professional wrestling that I always
Exactly.
admired by
He
him.
was the new Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
for the new era, the
Yep.
new. But
Yep.
I think the stuff that he did with CM Punk, I think it was incredible. To tell the truth. It was great
That's
stuff.
that's one of the matches, whatever the match when they were both, the title versus title, and you could actually see that Cena could actually work.
Yeah,
Like it wasn't just he was working outside his gimmick, I guess.
exactly.
Where he actually he was going hold for hold with Punk,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
was quite impressed that he actually could move the way that he could.
even both matches, the match,
Yeah,
when he lost to Punk, and then the follow up match, which, like you said, the title for title, the guy
yeah,
just went off. It
yeah,
was good stuff.
yeah. It was awesome. There was like a lot of great, really great. I might go watch that afterwards. Now that we're talking about it, because got me thinking about that. How great of a match it actually was. But
It
yeah,
really
it was just
was.
like it was good chain wrestling for like a good portion of the match.
Yep. But like you go back in the day, going back to the Attitude Era, you think about how many main eventers can you have? You have you have Stone
Yeah,
Cold, you have The Rock, you have Triple H, you have The Undertaker, you have Mankind, you got Shawn Michaels. You can keep going. Right now,
Kurt Angle. Yeah,
Kurt Angle,
yeah,
Eddie Guerrero,
yeah.
um,
Oh
and
God, yeah.
Benoit as well. Throw him in there. Chris Jericho,
Yep.
the guy. I think Chris Jericho is like the next, or he's like our Ric Flair right now because he reinvented. I know you don't feel too strongly about him, but I just feel like
Yeah, it's not that I don't feel too strongly about it. I just have you heard what I said recently about him?
no.
Uh,
Enlighten me. I wanna hear this.
on the last episode, or no, we were talking about All Out 2 episodes ago. I just always find him very arrogant,
Yep.
but he he does a lot, and now he's actually finally, he's doing the work with Orange Cassidy, and the
Yep.
whole Mimosa Mayhem match
Yeah,
is.
that was.
I just feel like we gave it a really bad review because I just felt like from beginning to end there was just
Yep.
something that wasn't clicking. And that match was just completely ridiculous the whole time.
Yeah.
But I always find him just to be very arrogant, and he has a big
Yep.
head at his
Yep.
age, and it's just
It is.
I don't. Yeah,
And it's funny because he's. I know we feel differently about the match,
Yeah.
But he's out there selling. He's
Yeah.
and it's funny because Chris Jericho, anywhere that he goes, he just shines.
He
From
does. You know,
Japan to ECW to WCW, WWF, the guy shines.
I did like his recent run in New Japan. That I appreciated. I thought it
That
was
was
really good.
nice.
His
That
matches
was
with
nice.
Kenny Omega and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
it's
I feel
the
like
I'm not a huge comedy wrestling fan, so
yeah,
you know,
exactly. And I think he's gotten to that age right now that he needs to do that in a way.
yeah, he can do
Um,
whatever he wants at this point in his career.
this one, yeah.
Yeah,
He'll get away with it.
yeah,
But I think he was so underrated in WCW. Uh,
absolutely.
I think one of my favorite feuds in WCW was his versus with Dean Malenko.
Oh my
Uh,
God, yeah, yeah,
Dean was so underrated as well. He's just because he didn't have enough mic skills, but he was
right.
in the ring. The guy was amazing.
If he had like a mouthpiece, like a manager,
Yeah,
it might
yeah,
have worked out differently but he just went out there and he barely cut any promos and he would
yeah,
just go out there and wrestle. Whereas like, I kind of credit him to like an Arn Anderson, but Arn Anderson could actually cut a really good
yes,
promo and
yes, he could.
was a fucking amazing wrestler on top of it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I got to meet both of those two guys in the same night. I got to meet Arn and Dean.
Oh man,
And Arn, Arn was we were talking here and there,
yeah,
and then I got to meet Dean, and Dean's just, and I'm like, oh, he's okay, but that's who he is. And it's funny because
yeah.
he just had come out of heart surgery,
Oh
and he
wow.
was out here doing, guest appearances, and I'm like, this guy got balls, man. It's like can't make that
Yeah,
up. But
Arn
I had to meet
Anderson.
him.
Yeah, where was that?
That was a Four Horsemen reunion. I want to say Philly or
Oh, okay.
Pennsylvania.
All
Um,
right.
I think it was like 2 years back. Roma was invited to it, and he knows I'm a huge mark, and he was like, "Want to tag
Right.
along?" I was like, "Sure."
That's
Um,
awesome.
Funny story because we roomed together in Jersey, and I'm in the bathroom, whatever, and I take a shower, and I come out with my shirt off, just in shorts. Roma goes in, takes a shower, and I'm here feeling pretty confident. Roman's probably, he can be old enough to be my dad, and he comes out, he's straight up 6 pack. I was embarrassed. I put my shirt back on. I'm like, I can't do this.
For a guy his age, he's in tremendous shape.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how I got into Paradise Alley. I ran into him in the gas station one day on my way to work, and I was like, totally marked out because I was always a huge Roma fan.
yep.
I went for, grabbed a bottle of water, and he's standing at the register. I tell the story quite often, but I just like going, holy shit, you're Paul Roma. He goes, yes, I am. And we just sat there and talked for a good, 10 minutes or whatever. He invited me to come down to a show, and I was at the next one. I've been to every one since. So,
That's awesome.
you
That's
know,
awesome.
I just, he's a really cool dude, and I've always been a huge fan of his. And thought that if anybody should have shined in the wrestling business, it should have been him. I thought that, in WWE, he should have had maybe an intercontinental title run or something.
Even I was when I first got to meet him, I kind of marked out as well.
Yeah.
Um, Power and Glory, I've been a fan of him
A
for a
great
while.
tag team. Yeah.
They're the greatest tag team to never make it, I think.
Yeah.
Just because they didn't get that push that they should have gotten. The storyline was so easy. It was right there.
Yeah.
You could have pushed them for the titles. Build them up, let them hold the title run, and then I don't know, have Roma turn on Hercules. And
Yeah.
then having Hercules going over, and then given that could have been that push for Hercules to
Right.
go for the main title, event, and then Roma, like you say, IC championship is right
Yeah.
there. But
I did.
it's
I did
disappointing
hear
that
they wanted to.
so
I
was
did
that
hear they wanted to. I did hear they wanted to put the tag titles on them, but I don't know whatever came of that.
they won them in the house show one night.
Oh, they did. I think
Yeah,
I've heard that before.
they
Yeah.
they beat they beat the house the house they beat the Heart Foundation.
Heart Foundation.
Uh, yeah, but they because they used to have great matches with the Heart Foundation with the Rockers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but the only thing unfortunately that stopped them is that their whole gimmick, Vince didn't come up with it. So
Yeah.
Vince was all about he's pushing whoever he comes up with, and
Right.
I remember hearing the stories, when Roma and Hercules, walked up to Vince and like, this is what we got going on, he's the big power, the muscles, I'm the guy that takes all the glory and this and that, They thought it was a great idea, but it wasn't their idea. So it
Right.
kind of sucks how things work because They were amazing in the ring. They were just smooth.
Yeah, and that finisher, man, the
Oh my God, yeah.
superplex and with the splash, yeah.
Yeah, and
And I
you know,
remember Roma also had one of the greatest drop kicks in
I was just
professional
gonna say
wrestling.
that. I was just gonna say that.
My other favorite drop kick is Brad Armstrong, but Roma, I remember seeing him wrestle Power and Glory wrestle somebody in Sonny Blaze. It was like one of these like shows. I swear he almost took Sonny Blaze's head off, like with the way he hit it. He was coming off the ropes, and I don't know if Sonny Blaze just walked into it the wrong way or what, but it looked like he snapped back and just hit so hard. So
He used to fly. He used to fly.
yeah, oh yeah,
He didn't wait anything when he was doing. Like you said, one of the probably, if not the best drop kick, one of the best out there.
yeah. All right. What else you got?
What else we want to talk about?
I got all the time in the world, really. I mean, I can go forever talking about
Let me
wrestling.
see what we got. We can talk about Razor Ramon. The reason why
Let's talk about Razor and Scott Hall.
He's my man guy.
That's right. I didn't ask you about that.
Yeah, which I'm happy to see. You know, he's turned his life around. You know, because it was it got scary there for a moment.
He was bound to a wheelchair for a while, right? Was he in a wheelchair for a while?
He was in a wheelchair. Yeah, he was. You know, I didn't think he was gonna make it for long. You know, and that got me really hard. You know, but then he, thanks to DDP, and Nash having his back,
work.
Amazing work, which is kind of cool. The first time I got to meet him, it was like it was like around the time he got finished with DDP, and then I told my brother, I was like, oh, I heard he's doing some touring. I gotta meet him. He's like, yeah. My brother's not a wrestling fan, but he always backs me up. He used to take a bunch of choke slams from me as a kid, so he knows the deal. But I remember we went to I want to say Pennsylvania again, and we were walking to the convention, and I had my NWO shirt. I'm a big NWO fan, by the way. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we just came out of the that hotel right there, and all of a sudden I see these two big guys coming out, black and white, and I'm like, and my brother's like, go right next to him, and I'm like, and I'm go behind him, and I'm like, hey yo, he turns around, he looks at me, he's like, sweet shirt, kid, and he gives me one of these, and I'm like, and then Nash is like, I better see you inside. I'm like, I'll see you guys in there, and it was amazing. It's funny because those two guys, I meet a lot of wrestlers, and I'm usually taller than them, and those are two of the guys. I'll probably send you a picture after this.
Yeah, sure.
I'm 6'3", and those two guys make me look like a little kid. To tell you the truth.
Did you see Nash was a basketball player at one point?
Yes.
And I saw a picture of him playing ball recently, and damn, I didn't think he could move the way he did. Like, he looked like he was jumping for it, like doing a jump shot, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't think so, because you wouldn't picture that the way he walks to the ring and the way he moves in the ring at all. So,
agile guy, but going back to the reason why I became a Razor fan. As a kid, I used to get picked on in school. I used to get bullied and stuff like that. Yeah. So one day I told the kid, one of the kids that was messing with me, you better back off, or either my uncle's gonna come here and take care of you and your father. Your uncle? Who the hell's your uncle? My uncle's a bad guy. Who's the bad guy? My uncle's Razor Ramon. No way, dude. I'm like, yeah, he's my uncle. He's gonna come over if you guys don't stop. Bullying stopped right there until
change everything.
Until he moved into WCW and he lost his accent, and then I was back to square one. But I went for a while, pretending that the Razor was my uncle, and keeping these kids off my back. But I've had the pleasure to meet him a couple of times. It's been nothing but great, great things.
Awesome. Did you ever check out any of his earlier work from, say, the AWA, where him and Kurt were tag teams?
Yes.
That's some great stuff. With the gigantic mustache, yeah.
Yes.
He came to, I think he came to NWA in like '89 with that gigantic mustache, but then disappeared and then came back as a Diamond Stud. So.
Yes, that's right. He shaved it off. He had the smooth, slick back hair.
And DDP was his manager. Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But I mean, it's awesome to see how his story has changed. Same thing.
Yeah, he's great.
Same thing with Jake. I met Jake a couple of times. He's an awesome dude, and I'm happy to see that they're doing good things for them right now. Yeah?
I saw Jake Roberts actually do his speaking tour. I think last year, 2 years ago. Went with Big Daddy, and um, my God, he's got some great stories to tell. He talks about a lot about his addictions and recovery and stuff. It's
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting, his life.
Yes, and he's very mellow. He's very cool. You know, he's.
Yeah.
I was with him. He said a couple things, and I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it in camera, but he's a funny
This
guy.
is not. Yeah, this is an uncensored show.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
we
Good
talk
to know.
about anything.
One of the times.
A lot of times I'll be drinking and I'll just usually drop F-bombs left and right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no worries. So one of the times I met him, you know, it was right after his recovery, and he's there hanging out. I'm like, hey, how's it going? You know, how you feeling? He's like, I'm alive, brother. Life is good. And he's like, you know, what would be better than that, you know? And there was a booth, you know, where they'll be giving blowjobs. And I'm like, where's that booth at? He's like, right here, brother. And I'm like, he just lost it. I was like, oh god,
that's awesome.
Sounds like Jake is back.
Yeah,
it's funny. The same day I got to see him, I got to meet my favorite female wrestler, China. It's funny for somebody who was in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
She was somebody who dominated. Gone way too soon, you know. And I think, you know, the way everything ended in the company, you know, it was, you know, I feel really bad. I got to actually talk to her for a little bit, and you can tell that she was genuinely a person, you know, who just wanted to make other people happy. So even if you approached her, like, for example, you were like, hey, China, I need you to do this, you know, to help you out in the benefit, like whatever towards you, even if it were her career, she would do it just because, you know, she would want to, you know, make sure that you were okay. And she was that kind of person. I think that's why she fell in a lot of wrong hands towards the end of her career. But she was, you know, she was amazing, sweetest person you can meet.
Right.
Mick Foley was there, and it's kind of cool because I went to go see Mick Foley, and him and China they were very close. And
I got this right here.
Yes.
I got that. I went with Big Daddy. We went and saw Mick speak in New Haven in February.
I got the one. He signed the one for me when he's being thrown of Hell in a Cell.
Oh wow, that's a cool picture.
Awesome one, yeah. And it's funny because I was right there talking to him, and him and China were very close. And they told him, they were like, "Oh, China's here," and he was like, he told me, "Listen, you mind giving me a few minutes? I just want to go see my friend. I haven't seen her for like over 5 years."
That's awesome.
I'm like, dude, you don't gotta ask me anything. You can just go do whatever you want. And you know, he went, and I was right there with him. He tapped her in the back. She turned around, started bawling. You know, big hug. I got a few of those pictures saved in somewhere. It was just an amazing moment to see, you know, see them two, you know, meet up after years of, you know, not seeing each other. So, like I said, great person, gone too soon. Yeah, just sad, you know, how the way things ended.
She always seemed like she was a really great person, just from what I saw. I never had the opportunity to meet her, but she always seemed like she was very sweet in interviews, you know, outside of the wrestling business. But, you know,
and
it's very sad that it's very sad, like what happened.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, and what she did, you know, she was, you know, she was the first woman in the Royal Rumble, the first woman in the King of the Ring. First, you know, she's the only woman I want to say that's fought for the World Championship.
Did she hold the Intercontinental belt at one time?
Yes, she was the IC champion.
That's right.
Champion. Okay. I don't think towards the end, I don't think she lost the women's title. I think they just took it away from her because she was.
She left the company or fired, whatever.
Well, I think it was she didn't have it when she left, but I think when she moved into the IC title picture, she was the champion.
Oh, gotcha.
Just dropped it because she was just destroying people. It was just.
She was really built in that first part of her career there, and then it seemed like she kind of took some of the, you know, she got the surgery done in the face and took some of the muscle mass away. She looked, I don't want to say petite, but you know, more like a woman that's more, you know.
Compared when she first started, when she was just
she was quite I think she was quite the beautiful woman at that time period. You know, later on.
I didn't think she needed all that stuff, but you know,
if
it made her happy, you know.
I'm not a fan of cosmetic surgery myself, but
you
know,
same here.
It makes you look phony. So
yes.
It helped for her, I guess. But,
be yourself, you know, and nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. You shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. Foley, on the other hand, was another cool guy to meet. I met him several times.
Hmm.
The first time I met him was when he first got fired from WCW and was going to ECW as Cactus Jack, and
Yep.
he just lost his heir somewhat recently before that. And I was in New Jersey at the Chiller Theater convention, and I just remember, I think I saw him on ECW TV already,
Yep.
and everybody just kept coming up. Nobody knew what ECW was at that time period. It was like 1994. It still was brand new, and it was only on certain markets. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're going to WWF?" He's like, "Yeah, kind of, yeah." It was just like it wouldn't show up for like another couple of years. He's just like he didn't want to say he's in ECW because nobody knows what the hell he'd be talking about. So
Yep.
it's like,
Exactly.
it was funny, but he was like the coolest dude, to
Yeah.
meet at that time period. Even now, like the recent meeting with him, he was real nice as well.
One of the
So,
smartest guys you can meet.
absolutely.
I mean, you could tell from his books. He's one of the only guys that, if not the only guy in wrestling that will write his own books. Because I know, a lot of these books that came out during that time, it was, for example, like you have the Rock's book, and
Right.
written by so and so. But Mick Foley, I want to say, was the only one that was, he was writing his own stuff, and it's
Yeah,
funny.
I don't even think it was edited down much. I think it was just basically everything that he put into it.
And I remember hearing stories like, plane rides. I don't know. I think it was against, he was like sitting next to Stone Cold, and he wouldn't. I think Stone Cold said like he wouldn't let him sleep because he had all his drafts. He's like, read this. What do you think about this? What do you think
Yeah.
about that? And he's like, Mick, I'm trying to sleep, man. Like, what's going on? But he's a very smart guy, in and outside of the ring. He's one of those guys, that.
He gets overly excited. Sometimes it seems like he's like a big kid kind of like.
Yeah.
He was telling the story about how he was running inside to his wife with the stories that he wanted to share with her once he was writing the book. And he was like, "What are you talking about?" kind of thing. It's comical to think about.
And look at him now. He's one of New York's best sellers out there. Best sellers. Yeah.
I had at one point an autographed edition of that book, and I have no idea what ever happened to it. The Have a Nice Day book.
I have it in the closet.
Oh man. I don't know if when I moved out of my when I was married once prior, I don't know if I left it behind and it got thrown away or whatever from my ex-wife. I lost a lot of stuff, but whatever.
But yeah, I actually got him that day I met China. It was the day he signed that book for me.
Oh, so nice.
I was like, I got to bring this with me. It's a classic, and that Hell in a Cell, that second one, it's got to be one of my favorites. Him and Taker.
Yeah.
Very gruesome match, and it's still one of my favorites. And one of the stories I still like is the fact that he's once he gets that second drop, and he's sitting there, and they're like, "Why is he smiling? Why is he smiling?" He's like, "I wasn't smiling. I had a hole inside my lip, and I'm going like this." And that's when he had the tooth in his nose.
Yeah, and I was gonna say the tooth. Is that the one where he fell into the ring or fell
into
outside?
The ring? Yeah.
And then he just like looks over. He's got the tooth sticking out of his lip, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
And you think he's smiling, and he's like, "No, I'm trying to fill a hole I have in my." He's going like this, and you're like, "Why is he smiling? He's a lunatic." And come on, but he took some damage, man.
That guy is just, I don't know how he ever thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, take this 15-foot drop and go through a table, and then it's just or fall through the top of the cage. I'm just like, you're fucking insane, like legit.
Even when he's not taking drops, what was that match he had with The Rock?
Chair. That was
and I Quit match.
That was for the I Quit match.
Yeah.
The I Quit match, and then where they piped in the I Quit or yes or whatever, over the crowd.
But he was just, I remember he was handcuffed and he just kept.
You saw the gash in his head. You saw the gigantic gash in his head. It was disgusting. But it was.
And wrestling's fake, right?
Yeah, right. I've never been one to call it fake. Because I tell you that it's probably one of the toughest. I could never do it. I wrestled in high school, like amateur wrestling in high school.
Here,
that was the only sport I ever did because I just loved wrestling. I could never get into professional wrestling. I've heard too many stories by people that that I know or that from the business. It's just not for me. I'll sit on the outside. Go ahead.
Yeah. I know one of the guys asked me this last show. He came in. He was new. He was watching for the first time. He's like, oh, you know, that ring sounds, you know, like, how do you guys make a sound, you know, like to have wood on the bottom and sound like that? I'm like, because it's wood down there. So
Yeah.
it's
it's wood and steel.
I'm telling you, this was killing me that day after my matches. From
Yeah.
you know those 3 counts. It's
Just
like,
landing.
oh,
Yeah.
they're
I remember
brutal.
the first time I ever saw a ring put together. Had to be like 1991, 1992, New Haven Coliseum. They used to do like afternoon shows, matinees or whatever once in a while. I went and the ring truck had not shown up yet. Everybody's filling in the arena and there's just the chairs are set up where the ring should be and there's no ring.
Yep.
That's the first time I ever saw a ring put together with wood, steel, and they got that shit up so quick to start the show. And I was just like, holy shit. And it was like, that's what's under there. So I knew right then that it was all wood and steel. But some people just think it's just a trampoline. Yeah.
And it's not fun building it either. But we have a good crew, you know. You know, these guys build it like that, you know. We get in there and we get it, you know, even to break it in, break it out, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Big ups to Hakeem from the House of Pain. He's the only one that, you know, when breaking down the ring, he takes the turnbuckle by itself, the pole, and just brings it out to the back. Jesus.
So do you watch his exercise videos, like him lifting and shit? That dude is really putting it in, dude.
Those arms are bigger than my legs.
Yeah. Those are some good guys right there. I had a chance to interview them like 2 months ago, and it was like probably one of the favorite interviews I've done so far.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Like, some
they're
great
amazing.
Guys.
And they get you a lot of times because, you know,
yeah.
It was in Mohegan Sun, that show that Roma show that I was in as well.
Yeah.
I forgot who they were facing, and then I'm watching the match, and all of a sudden I see everybody's outside the ring, and all of a sudden I see Hakeem. And, you know, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He hits the ropes, comes back, suicide dive, and I was just like, "What is he doing?"
I've never seen.
It was smooth.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This guy's gonna be out of his mind," but he's. I mean, it makes you.
That's good for him, though. Yeah, they're probably one of my favorite tag teams. After watching them the last couple of years, those guys can do it. They tried to get me during the interview. Hakeem just goes, "Who do you think the fucking Shawn Michaels and who do you think is the Jannetty of the team?" I said, "I'm not answering that. I'm not giving you guys that answer."
I can answer that for them, but we'll
get like, there's no way. I don't need you guys mad at me like that. So I want to have them back on soon because, you know, they're gearing up to go do work with the NAWA soon.
Yeah, they got signed, and also Marcel got signed. So, Tri-State Kings right there. They're an awesome guy. You know, they're the trio. They're awesome. Like I said, you know, their matches don't disappoint.
Yeah.
They don't stop. Once they go, they start going. You know
that.
And especially for, you know, for the point of view of the referee. They're the type of guys that, you know, you just stand back and let them do their thing. They make it easier on you.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
Those guys. Do you what do you know about the NAWA coming up?
Very little.
Yeah.
Now that I started hearing about it, I started doing my research, you know, and started seeing, you know, people that've been in it, that came up from it. Again, I came from an era, also like a different era. You know, I came in when the things that were pretty hot were, you know, WWF, WCW, even ECW. You know, they was making, you know, they were making their ground. You know, I came from Dominican wrestling, so I didn't get much out there, except a little bit of WWF here and there. You know, these guys, they've been worldwide for a long time right now. But, you know, and then coming here, I didn't hear quite much of them. You know, besides that, even NWA. You know, I knew who NWA was. But in '94, I wasn't 94, 95. I wasn't getting, you know, much of them.
You should go on YouTube. There is some videos. They have a YouTube page where they're putting up classic footage, but you can find out some of their full TV shows too from the older NAWA. I used to watch it because it was on actually like a national television network. At one time, so it was like a lot of bigger names did run through there. And then Tony Capone just found out that he actually worked for Herb Abrams' UWF. I just heard this the other day for the first time. The guy that's writing the book on Herb Abrams, I actually interviewed him last November. He just said that Tony contributed to his book with some information. I had no idea that. So I'm getting set to interview Tony Capone like next week sometime, so I gotta ask him about this. He seemed like a really nice guy. I met him that day at the show. Really cool dude.
Same here, yeah.
Like, yeah.
And I'm actually, even though I don't know much about it, like I said, I just started, doing my research. I'm learning about the history of it because I'm all about the history. I'm very excited.
Same here.
To see the product, and knowing that some of our guys are going to be there, I know things are going to be good. I know they're going to deliver. I met him this past show. Awesome guy, very, very cool. And yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen going forward.
Tell me about we didn't really talk much about it yet, other than Jack and the NWA title. Tell me about some Dominican wrestling. I don't know much about it.
It's died down a lot. But recently started picking up. I know I got to do a show in New York where I met a couple of Dominican wrestlers. Unfortunately, I think I'm the only one Dominican base around here. I could be wrong, but I know I met a couple guys in New York and they were saying, they were flying back and forth, because things started picking up back over there. Which, it's kind of cool, because there is a fan base out there. I remember going back on vacations and remember, my little cousins, watching WWE, this and that. So, the fan base is there. But things are starting up, which I'm happy to see, and, if I get the chance, to one day, go back home and I mean, I've been back home and done, I've done a bunch of TV stuff, a bunch of radio stuff when I was doing my music stuff. But to actually, get the chance to go back, and get in the ring, I think that'll be a cool experience, So if that ever happens, I think that's one of my bucket lists in there, kind of thing, to go back home and actually get in the ring.
Do some wrestling related stuff right there.
And call a match or something. That'll be awesome. And even awesome. try to get to meet Jack. That's one of my, I've met a lot of people. Yes, he is. Yep. I've met a lot of people, but that's like the one guy that I really, I've been really trying to meet, which is cool because you posted a picture earlier today.
I did that on purpose.
I know you did. Jack Bonanno and Ric Flair going to war. I actually have that picture in a frame signed by Ric Flair.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you meet Flair? Did you have Flair sign it yourself?
Yeah. I met Flair twice, but that was the first time I met him. And I walk over and I'm talking to him, and he's being Flair. He's always on. Woo!
He's on. Yeah.
He's on. And then a couple girls came over. He's like, "Woo! It's Nature Boy time." And I'm like, "There we go." But I remember I'm talking to him, and I'm like, "Hey, can you sign something?" He's like, "Absolutely, bring it out." And I pull it out, and he's in, like I said, he's in gimmick. And when he sees the picture, his gimmick drop, and he's like, "Oh man, that's my boy Jack." He's like, "What do you know about this?" And he's like, and he turned like human. Like I brought him back to like some memories. And he was like, "Oh man, that was some great time with Jack and this and that." We started talking, and it was cool. He signed it, and then he wrote 16-time world champion to remind us that he's the champion with the big woo on it. And I mean, I was marking out like always, but it was kind of cool.
I had the opportunity once to meet him, but then I was just like, ended up walking away. Milford Mall. And the line was so long by the time I got there, I just said, forget this. And I heard from people that were up front that he was just in a bad mood that day. So I said, I'm not going to even deal with it. so never mind. But yeah, one of these days I'd like to meet him because he is truly the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
The greatest wrestler. Yeah.
And I don't believe that whole 16 time. It's
like 30 or something.
He's up there.
Yeah. It's kind of like you look at it and it's like, do you know much about Memphis history?
A bit.
Where it's like Jerry Lawler has probably held the title, 150 times because he's lost it for like a day or two here and there, depending on who.
Yep.
It's like kind of similar to that, like he probably, depending on the country he was in, if he wanted to get out alive or whatever. So
Dominican Republic.
Yeah. I've heard some horror stories there, and was it WWC in Puerto Rico? I've heard there was some pretty crazy stories that happened. Well, outside of the Brody thing, but I mean, with the NWA title, that he wanted to just get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that whole Puerto Rico scenery is a whole different ballpark.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the whole Brody situation. It's just it was sad.
It is.
Meeting Atlas this past
week. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. he was involved in that very strongly involved in
Yeah,
that. He was there. He was a part of it. He feared for his life. Pretty much because he was Brody's boy. But it was kind of cool to get to talk to him. And
yeah.
Alex is a pretty cool guy, man. He's very humble,
I've
very
heard.
nice person.
That's another guy I've never met. I actually just said hello to him in passing that day, but I didn't even. I should have taken the time, got a picture with him and stuff, and talked to him. There is some things, weird parts of wrestling careers that I want to know about. Like, I usually ask the oddball stuff. Like, I wanted to know what it was like to work with like the Savoldis in the '90s or something like that, like the little independent group out of the Northeast that he used to work with, and he was their champion. I think it was Tony Rumble was his manager at one time. So I was actually just watching that today. And, just little oddball crap that I just like come up with from when I was a kid.
The oddball questions are the best, honestly. So
Yeah.
they're used to getting asked the same thing over and over.
It's like you watch interviews, it's usually like you hear the same stories over and over. Like with Ric Flair or Hogan or whoever, you just hear the same stories over and over, and you kind of get tired of hearing the same stories over and over. It doesn't change.
And you want to hear the new stuff, the stuff that that you haven't heard before, even if it's nothing too crazy, but it'll be something new that you never heard before.
Right.
But I agree with you there. I think Flair, even though he's stacking on my list, I think Flair is the greatest of all time. He's the kind of guy that whole promotions want. Even if he beat your guy, he would still make your guy look like a star.
Yeah.
And it's very rare for somebody to do that, and he did it. And that's why he was wanted so much.
He's definitely up there, but he doesn't make my top 5, unfortunately.
Who's top 5? I'm curious. I know Arn is number 1.
Arn is number 1
for sure. I know that for sure.
Benoit is number 2.
Yep.
Dynamite Kid.
Yes.
Bret, Owen, and then I could just continue with another 5, like Steamboat and guys like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I know if you're definitely a Benoit fan, you were definitely gonna be a Dynamite Kid fan.
Yeah, it was like I always loved the Bulldogs, and then and then I read Dynamite's book, and this was really before I got totally into. I was into Benoit, but watching him in WCW and ECW, and then I just kind of got like really into him after a while.
So. And Benoit, he took a lot from Dynamite Kid too as well. So that's where he basically.
He was basically a clone of Dynamite,
mm-hmm.
and his matches in Japan. But yeah, Dynamite is always up there on my list. As far as like current, there's also like another crap of guys. I always liked watching. Do you remember John Walters, Hurricane John Walters? He was in Ring of Honor for quite a while.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
And, he was up there on the list for a while too. Guys like that. I'm trying to think who else.
And the one that you don't like, HBK. You mentioned being a Bret fan.
Yeah, but HBK he's talented in the ring. He's just I just never thought he was as good as everybody else thought he was.
And
I don't know if that's he being snotty or whatever, but
and he wasn't much of a nice guy outside of the ring, So
he's a nice guy. So I don't like dick assholes.
Owen Hart, man, what a wrestler that was.
Yeah, tremendous athlete. The guy, he just had classics with everybody. Even his crappy WWF days in the late '80s, like Under a Hood as the Blue Blazer, he still put on good matches with like Ted DiBiase and stuff.
Yep. So. Yeah, he did. It was like Cody. Whatever they gave Cody in WWE, he made it gold. Like that.
Yes, absolutely. Even Stardust. Stardust gimmick. Yeah.
That was horrible. And he made it work.
I think it's underrated, is what it is.
It is. No,
I'll tell you because it's supposed to be just a joke in a way. They put it, and it maybe it was made to look him bad, made to make him look bad, but I kind of looked at it in a comical way. Yeah.
I said it the wrong way, but I think the whole idea was just like ridiculous. But he grabbed it and he just. I was a fan because I actually have an action figure, a Stardust action figure.
Really?
I do because I'm actually a big used to be a big Goldust fan. I still am. Dustin, he's amazing.
He's doing some of his best work right now.
Oh my God,
in AEW, like especially the match that he had with Cody last year at the pay-per-view, where they're just like a bloody mess. I'm just like, I can't
And
believe he's just a couple years older than me. He's putting on some of his best matches I've seen in
I
years.
I got to meet him before they announced about AEW,
Yeah,
and I was like, hey, so how you feeling? You've been doing it for a long time. He's like, what did he say? He was like, I don't think I can. Something about these young kids these days. They're
yeah.
really they're really hard to keep up with. So, I think my time might be coming up soon. And then all of a sudden
Wow.
you see him on TV and he's doing all this crap, and you're like,
Yeah.
what?
I mean,
Like,
a guy his size doing a Canadian destroyer. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's just,
yeah. And
yeah, he's a phenomenal wrestler. Yeah.
he lost all that weight, and he moves like,
Yep.
I can't even explain it. He's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't mind the team that he's with now. Him and QT Marshall. I think they're a pretty decent team in
Yeah.
AEW. So I
They
think
got
that
home
guy's
there.
good too. Yeah,
Yeah, he's pretty good. But
and
Cody. I mean, I think whatever they did, he had a lot of bad gimmicks in WWE, but he made
yeah,
it work.
I like the one where he broke his nose. Like that was kind of wore that mask for forever. That was kind of
and then
it was
and then
comical.
and then
Yeah.
before that, giving people paper bags because he was the only beautiful one.
I forgot about that.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, he was
Yes.
he was funny. I mean that whole family itself
Yeah,
is just amazing. And same thing with their father. When he first came to WWE, that
Yep.
uniform they get, that whatever they gave him, the polka
the
dots,
polka
whatever,
dots. They tried to make him look like an ass, and he just went
and
with it. And he said,
he
"I don't
pulled it
care."
off. And
But I
he
think
pulled
the
it
other
off.
thing is that he knew that he was going to be, he was retiring soon. You know what I mean? He was
Yep.
just like, I'm old and I've been doing this forever. This is my last couple of years. And he just went, he goes, I'm going to go out there and make an ass of myself every night and love it. He was getting big money. Yeah.
Yeah, and he pulled it off. That's that's one thing about that family. They pull it off, and
Yep.
and then look years later, he made a huge impact on what's NXT right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't think NXT would be what it is right now if it wasn't for him.
Do you still keep up with like Raw? Do you keep up with like Raw and SmackDown at all, or WWE product at all?
Yeah, here and there. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of time to watch everything, because there's so much wrestling going on right now.
Yes, there is.
I
It's
do
kind of
watch.
awesome.
It really is. I do watch AEW a little more than I do WWE.
Same here.
Same thing with NWA when it's back on. It was amazing. Watching Thunder Rosa do her thing.
Oh, that's my favorite right there. Yeah.
Like, I think she's top right now. The work that she does in that ring is just.
I think that she. I was surprised. I was so happy to see her on the AEW TV, honestly, because she's really one of my favorites today, and I love seeing. I was hoping that she wasn't leaving the NWA when she popped up, though.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
they're doing the cross promotion thing because I absolutely love the modern NWA, and I'm really was it next week? I think they premiere the new show, so I'm on Fight. I'm really looking forward to that because I think that it's just going to be amazing. And I think it's like been building up because Power hasn't been on, and I'm really excited for it.
And I hope they do more of that stuff because that brings so much fans into especially with AEW. AEW, they have a lot of great stuff going on right now, but I think their women's division is just not too good right now as it needs to
be. You're correct. I think it's because Kenny Omega's isn't he the head of the women's division? He's bringing in it seems like he's bringing in all his friends.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that this had to be like the best women's match that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
In AEW.
What did you think of that pay-per-view as a whole? To be honest with you, the All Out.
I think it was pretty good for some of the matches.
Right.
That whole dentist match, I don't know what I thought about it.
I actually missed that match because I was driving and I got home right after that. So I from what I hear, I didn't miss anything. I should be lucky that I missed it. So.
You were good. You were good on that.
Yeah.
Main event was really good. What was the tag
match? The tag team title match. I liked it. And the FTR is like one of my favorite current tag teams. I just think it could have gone a little bit shorter for that match. Being it wasn't a lot of crowd. It didn't seem like there was. It seemed like it was a match that should have been feeding off the crowd and just wasn't delivering the way that it should have.
Exactly.
That way.
Women's match we already spoke about. That was an amazing match. Young Bucks match was pretty good as well.
Did I miss that one? Which one was that? Jeez,
they were right in the beginning.
Oh, then I probably caught the I caught the end of it. That's right.
But that was pretty good. That was real good. Which I'm surprised, and big ups to them, because they I would think that they would have been the first tag team champions since they're one of the, and they're they more of a they want to push that talent. So I respect.
I think they're humbling themselves, remaining humble kind of
Yep.
thing instead of just putting the titles on themselves.
I respect that.
What do you think of AEW as a whole?
I think I know a lot of people, which is funny because a lot of people either hate it or they love it.
Yeah.
For example, like if you there's people that I know that watch WWE and they're like, oh, AEW is trash, and then there's people that I know that watch AEW and they're like, WWE is trash. I'm like, can you guys just enjoy wrestling?
I think that's the internet wrestling fan to begin with. I mean,
Yes.
but I've always looked at it like growing up. There was always two different kinds of fans. There was wrestling fans, and then there was WWE fans or WWF fans. People that would just solely watch WWF and think that there was no other wrestling. But I watch everything that comes across my television.
You get options. That's
yeah.
We're the one that wins right now.
Exactly.
I love. It has a bit of a feeling of like the WCW days.
It does.
Which I enjoy. Not towards the end though. Towards the end, it was just.
It was kind of crappy. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, I do enjoy it. I think they have the best tag team rosters right now, which I'm a big fan of tag teams. And it's kind of funny to see all these guys that they used to treat like crap in WWE. They're stars,
That's the thing that people are complaining about is that it's like, oh, it's like another WCW. They're bringing WWE guys in and trying to make them stars under different names. I'm like, you guys are just not getting it.
Yeah.
It's like these are guys that are more than capable of doing something. It's just Vince is holding them down or not allowing them, especially the Revival or FTR or I guess what's his name? Rusev premiered tonight. I didn't see it.
Yes, Myro.
Myro. Yep. I'm gonna go back and watch it tomorrow. Yeah.
Which is funny because these are guys that when they were back in NXT, they were incredible talent, and then they hit the main roster. Look at Finn Balor. Finn Balor's the NXT champion once again.
He wanted to go to NXT because he can be himself going down there because.
Yep.
Hunter and Regal will allow you that little bit more of creative freedom.
And he's the champion again.
Yeah. Yep.
That speaks for itself. The Revival. They were doing amazing things in NXT. They were champions. What was it, twice?
Yeah.
And and then all of a sudden, they go to the main roster and they're doing what is it, Uso Hot, whatever it is, that crap they were doing.
That crap with the Usos. It was just they just tried to embarrass them over and over. It was ridiculous.
And I love the gimmick that they were doing. That that old school wrestling. It's amazing. Old school tag team.
They were like a modern Tully and Arn.
Yeah.
Like, kind of a tag team. Like they even right down to freaking the boots. You know what I mean? Like the Ole Anderson looking boots.
Which is funny because now they have Tully on their side. And it's
right. Which I think is amazing that Tully Blanchard is involved in wrestling again. So
it is.
That's awesome.
It is. He's an awesome dude. He was so smooth in the ring. His daughter reminds me of him wrestling.
Oh, she's awesome. Like she's one of my favorite wrestlers in the modern era. Not just women wrestlers, just wrestlers
overall.
Period.
Overall, yeah, I agree. Like I remember the first time I saw her was in the Mae Young Classic.
Yep.
And I can't believe she lost her first match. But even after losing, I was like, oh my god! It was like I was watching her dad wrestle.
Yeah.
She's
that good.
And I was like, this, and she was still green during that time. And I'm like, wait a minute, and she lost. I'm like, come on, guys! Like,
she was trained by George South, at the I think in Cedric Alexander, I think might have had a hand in her training as well.
Yep.
And of course, it's interesting. yeah. And I think that I'm interested to find out where she's going to go now that she's not with Impact. Whether it be NXT or AEW. I think both could benefit, and AEW I think would really benefit if she came in because
they need
their women's division.
Yeah. WWE has a strong women's division. I think the strongest right now, but they're not being used very well.
When you say WWE, do you mean like the main roster, or do you mean like NXT, or either out of any? Overall. Okay.
I think they have about all the like between New Japan and all of them, and then I don't know, and Impact, and I think they have the strongest roster.
Yeah.
Including NWA. NWA has a strong roster itself.
NWA is a really good roster. It's
But
just
again,
it's
I'm including
terrible they're not
NXT as
running.
well.
Yeah.
If it was WWE by itself, I don't know, but NXT knows how to use their women's division.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just NXT. I think is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's probably the best WWE product right now. It's a shame that they're not getting the numbers on television that they should be getting because I kind of gave up on Raw and SmackDown quite a while ago because it's just I decided that if I can't find anything negative or positive and I'm always speaking negative about it, I just can't watch it. I was recording it every week and then fast forwarding it through it to watch the good stuff, and then I just finally canceled all the recordings because I'm just like I can't even bring myself to. It usually go like a half hour, 45 minutes before I just shut it off. So.
And I feel bad for NXT because, like you said, they're not getting their numbers. Like for example, me, when I watch wrestling on Wednesday, I'm gonna watch AEW, knowing that I have the network and I can go later on and watch NXT.
Yeah, that's exactly because I always watch AEW live and then NXT either the next day while I'm at work or
which sucks for the numbers, but it's like you kind of wish they can be moved on different days. Like if they were moved even on I don't know Mondays or Fridays, I would still watch them over.
And now NXT is like they're taking away a lot of the guys that I like watching on there and moving them to Raw and SmackDown, like Keith Lee and Dijak, and it's like
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, and I'm just like I don't know, like you're giving me. I mean, I guess is the Undisputed Era still in there? So I mean, on NXT, at least Roderick Strong. I really like Roderick Strong a lot. I've always been a huge fan of his, and I'm just like I'll tune in as long as those guys are staying there. But the more you water down that product, the less I'm going to be interested.
And there's guys that they don't want to go up, like Gargano and Ciampa. They don't want to go up.
They went up there, for what, a couple weeks, and then they just came back down. When they were trying to do that, were they doing the invasion thing or whatever? And then all of a sudden they're just like, no, it's not for me. And then went back to NXT. But I liked seeing them on that Raw and SmackDown episodes. They had those good couple matches, and then went back down. I think, especially Ciampa, I think that guy is phenomenal. He is. He's got the making of a huge star.
He should definitely have another run of that belt.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's his, right? Daddy's home. So.
Yeah. But even though
I want to see him and Killer Kross against each other. I mean, that's going to be. I think that'd be phenomenal.
Well, they had a match.
Yeah, but he got annihilated.
Yeah, he put him over.
But I want to see him like actually go at it, like a
be himself.
Yeah, good 20, 30-minute match. I think that those with a live crowd. And,
yes. Which I was like, I don't think that. I think they should have gave Killer Kross somebody else.
Yes, I think that. Well, because you think Ciampa, he was already on top, kind of a thing. So it'd be good for Killer Kross's, to boost him up, give him the rub.
But in that situation, like you said, give him a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I think Killer Kross is another one that's like by today he's one of my current favorite wrestlers. Like, that guy could do it all.
And then he gave the belt up, which kind of sucks.
Well, did he tear a muscle in his arm or something?
Yeah. The good thing is that he won't get the Finn Balor treatment when he was in the main roster. That even though after he healed and he came back, it was like, no, we're done with you. I'm sure once he comes back, I'm sure Triple H is gonna show him some love and.
Yeah, the guy's phenomenal. I mean, I was so happy to see him because he had spoken about how he was treated like crap in Impact. Like, he asked for more money and they're just like, we'll find another job. And then, well, he did in WWE. So,
and there was a few companies that were fighting for over him.
Yeah. He made a couple MLW appearances. I mean, if he went to NXT or AEW, either way, I think that he would shine legitimately. I think that both companies would know what to do with him.
And I think NXT won because Triple H, he wanted to that monster coming in. Triple H was like, we can do that.
And he could I think that Killer Kross could pull it off. I don't like the name change, but that's WWE for you.
Yeah.
So,
just in case. I mean, once he leaves,
Yeah, he'll be back. I mean, I think his website is still killerkross.com or whatever. So he still produces Killer Kross shirts, so for Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yes. If you don't have your tees, Everybody watching.
Yes.
ProWrestlingTees.com. Go get your LREF merch.
All right.
Funny you threw that in there, that alley oop. I had to jump in.
It's gonna. Before we close out, we're gonna make remind everybody where to get it, and I'll put it in the ending credit as well.
Beautiful.
So, all right. So we talk a lot about NXT, AEW. What do you think of AEW as a whole? Did I actually ask you that? Never mind. I didn't give my opinion. I think I did ask you that, but what I think is that it's a really good company. It just needs to work out some kinks still, because I mean, it's still relatively a year old. Some people are considering all in so it's like 2 years old, but the beginning. But either way, there's still a lot of kinks that they need to work out, especially like the women's division, like we were talking about.
Yep.
And there's just a lot of gimmicks in there that I don't particularly care for, as far as like certain wrestlers go.
I mean, again, see WWF, see WCW when they first started. They weren't perfect.
It took WCW a number of years to get rolling.
Yeah.
WCW, because after they separated from the NWA and Ted Turner bought it, because they're trying to mimic WWF with a lot of over-the-top children's type gimmicks with, Kevin Nash as Oz the Diamond Stud. The Ding Dongs. I can go on forever. Literally, I can go on forever. But, with the stupid childish gimmicks. But it took them up to like 96 to get rolling. Or even when like Hogan came in 94, it's like that's when things started to change. Yeah.
Even I feel like even with Hogan, it wasn't like.
No, it took him turning heel to make to solidify a lot.
Yep, I think the big turning point for me was when Lex Luger, out of all people.
On the first Nitro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though, like I said, even though it took him a while.
Yeah.
To get with it, but I think that made a huge impact.
I think I liked early, like say late 80s, early 90s Luger when he was in WCW before his WWF run. And once he went to WWF, him as well, he was the narcissist, and then his babyface run as like the USA type guy.
The
I just never bought it. Yeah, exactly. I just never particularly bought that. It's just never particularly. My mother had a run-in with him out in public in New Haven at a charity event, and she was not a fan of his. He was a very arrogant person at that time period. But I've seen him now in interviews. He seems like he's completely humbled and lucky. I mean, feels lucky to be alive.
I mean, look at all the crap he's been through. Like I got to meet him in a wheelchair though, so it's like and that doesn't humble you. I don't know why. And look at all that crap he went through. That drug problem, that crap with Miss Elizabeth, which is horrible again. If that doesn't get you, I don't know what's gonna help you out, buddy. But you can tell he's a different person compared to what he was.
And he working with Nikita Koloff to find God and and religion and stuff like that. I think that changed him and turned him around as well. And he just seems like he's I saw him like in an interview on High Spots, and he seemed like he was a much nicer guy than he was back in the 90s. So.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, him making that appearance, I think it gave him a boost. But I think the one that really got me was when Scott Hall first showed up.
Yeah.
With his jean jacket.
Yeah.
And then saying last week I'm coming in with a friend, and then Nash came in. I think that was huge for them.
That changed. Yeah, I mean that boosted up Nitro because people were interested as to what was going on.
I honestly thought it was WWF guys coming in to invade. Yeah. Honestly,
it worked really well at that time period. I don't think by today, because of the internet, that any of that stuff would be able to happen today. Like everybody hears about people being let go and all that other crap. So
it was different. It was a different era, and then which is funny because Scott Hall has said it. It was so real that people within WCW really thought that they were going back to the WWF, and they would give him a bigger check, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of that helped ruin WCW in a way too. So all these WWF type guys started coming over. They just all of a sudden started making all these demands as far as like high pay.
I think Nash had the best contract because
really?
I think his contract said that he couldn't. If somebody came and made more than him, they had to either his contract had to be over or as equal as theirs, which is like, yeah.
How is that even possible?
I mean, they were getting Diesel, the world champion, and it was like,
yeah, he was quite popular at the time. And when he left there, what 96?
yep.
96? Yeah, different time period, man.
And then Kane took over his gimmick, and that was it for Diesel.
That's hilarious stuff to watch. I go back and watch every now and again. Go back onto YouTube and watch this kind of stuff, and you're like, Jim Ross trying to turn heel, manage them kind of. And it's like, I can't take you seriously. Like, you're Jim Ross, the WCW announcer. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, going back to your question about AEW, I mean, I think they started strong for being a new.
Absolutely.
My new company.
Yeah.
They're Kinks, absolutely. And one thing that I like about them is that they work on their. They listen to their fans. I know people weren't very happy about that gimmick that what's her name? Cody's wife.
Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah, that whole gimmick she had before. People were complaining about that, how stupid it was, and this and that, and they listened to the fans and they dropped everything. Something that
it just suddenly just dropped, just was gone altogether. There was no follow up to it or anything.
Yeah. Because people weren't happy with it.
They should listen. Cody should listen about getting bad tattoos on his neck. I mean, so you should listen to the fans. The funny part is, I saw a fan online post on Instagram or something. They got the same tattoo after he did, and I was like, "Oh my god, the internet wrestling fans."
I mean, if he would have gotten it on his chest,
it would have been different.
But right here, it's like, oh, what? I think it was Mike Tyson that went on. He was like, "Ouch, what happened?" And you know how Mike got the whole thing on his face?
He got that whole face tattoo a number of years back.
Yeah.
I think AEW, like you said, they got kinks. They're certainly, I don't particularly care for some of the talent that they brought in. Sonny Kiss, not particularly a fan of. I mean, it's a little too over the top. I do like Joey Janela. Dude's all right. He does a little bit too crazy, crazy stuff. But in AEW, he's kind of tame compared to the stuff he did outside, like in CZW and beyond and stuff.
I'm a big fan of the Lucha Bros.
Oh, those guys are amazing. Yeah.
I'm just a little afraid because there's so much tag team competition.
Yeah.
They're gonna get lost. Even if you want to give them singles action, they're amazing. Like if you go back to Lucha Underground, even when they're facing each other 1-on-1, their stuff is just amazing.
That's come up quite a bit lately. I've never watched Lucha Underground outside of a few minutes here and there because I didn't get the channel when it aired. So I would watch it on Netflix or whatever. So I never sat down and absorbed it entirely. But at least 3 or 4 people have told me in the last couple of weeks that I need to go back and just watch it all because
there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff. I mean, that's where you got to meet Ricochet as King Puma. He used to wear a mask back then. The stuff that he did in that show, which is amazing. And it's sad to see where he is right now. He actually made it through the big times.
Right. He's on main event a lot. Yeah. He ends up on main. Speaking of King Puma, I've seen him recently. I was going back and watching some Pro Wrestling Guerrilla stuff. Do you watch that at all, or did you?
I used to back in the day.
Yeah, I've been kind of, for some reason, obsessed with it as of late. It's been the one promotion I've been more into lately. So
yes,
it's
definitely good stuff.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's so much wrestling around.
There's so much to keep up with. Yeah.
ROH is another one.
Right. They've kind of sunk a bit, but I think that they're getting ready. I think something really big is going to happen there soon.
Yes.
Because they lost a lot of the talent to NXT, obviously, and even AEW. But I think that something like this, 2020 was a rough year for them, even 2019, 2020. But I think that next year, I think something big is about to happen there because they're going to boost them. They've always been the top indie. It's just had the most amazing amount of talent and just some really great matches. I mean, how many people have come from there? Samoa Joe, Punk, all these guys.
All champions,
moved on to be legends. Yeah. So that should be. I think that the next year is going to be a really good year for them. I'm hoping at least because they were damn near out of business this year. So
yes, they were.
So I think that, but I think that company that owns them has to sink a little bit more money into them and try to get like some solidified bigger talent.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And I wish they
yeah,
do something. They're a great company.
yeah, I think so. Before we go, what about indies? Current indies that you watch outside of Paradise Alley, obviously.
Like I said, there's so much wrestling that I think it's just Paradise Alley for me right now.
Yeah,
Just because there's so much going on.
yeah.
Um, again, with wrestling, and yeah, I have to stick with PAPW, my home.
Nope. I mean that's the one that I attend the most. So
Yes.
I think I even tweeted out last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, that in the last 2 years I've gone to more wrestling shows that I've gone to in my entire life in that last 2 years.
Yes.
I think you guys were booking what 2, 3 shows a month at one time between the
Yes.
school and the
Yes.
bigger
Yeah.
shows.
We
I
were
was at
busy.
every single one of them. I think it was like 1 or 2 that I missed because of family obligations, but
Yeah. But we were
I'm
definitely
hoping.
busy.
Yeah, October 10th at the Annex in New Haven with the Hall of Fame ceremony.
We'll see you there for your birthday.
Yes. So, where could people find you on the social media, sir?
Facebook, find me as my name if you want to, Miguel Silverio. And then Instagram and Twitter, LRef. You'll find me there. I'm usually posting here stuff from there. Nothing too crazy, but yeah. Usually, if you type in LRef, you'll find me.
You have some merchandise available as well.
Yes, sir. Over at ProWrestlingTees.com, you can find some cool referee merch, cool LRef merch. Go on, take a look at it. Um, I'm the guy right next to Eric Bishop on the picture out there in the thing.
All right.
I'm pretty happy about that, so I'll take it.
All right, sir. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Rick, thank you for your time, and we'll see you soon. All right.